Da-da-da-da. We are live on Facebook.
Hey, thanks,
Hey,
Rohit.
welcome to everyone on Facebook and on Zoom. Thank you for being here. We have with us an amazing individual today. Let me do a quick introduction to him, who he is and what does he do, so you get a picture of what it is. Now, he's a founder and director of Neverland Consultation. His mission is to create imaginative and innovative individuals and organizations. As a background, he has an MSc in computer science, neural network application AI. Okay, so that sounds very interesting, and plans to pursue his studies. Yep. Holds 7 certifications. Wow. Okay, so I'm speaking to an extremely intelligent individual over here. 7 certifications, 6 Sigma, certified training professional, certified innovation professional, and many more. He's been a senior assistant vice president for customer experience management, 19 years of work and project experience in 36 companies and industries combined, built 176 creative prototypes and innovations for companies with ongoing projects, bringing in millions in revenues or in savings. His areas of experts is design thinking, innovation-centric company, innovation framework, process and culture, digital customer experience and digital transformation, business modeling. The list is quite endless. So we are today our speaker is Seelan V. Karthi. He will actually let you know his full name. This is the shorter version, which I can pronounce. One of the things which Seelan says is, all the above is due to the humbleness and praises and thanks to God. Thank you so much, Seelan, for being here. Truly, truly appreciate it. And before we move on and get into the topic itself, here's a question for you. How do you pronounce your full name?
It is Saktiya Seelan V. Karthi.
Okay, so could you repeat that again for me?
It's Saktiya Seelan V. Karthi.
Okay, and what does that mean?
Saktiya Seelan means son of goddess Sakti.
Oh, praise to you. Yeah. Now, Seelan, for our audience out there, for the people who are going to listen to this later and on the current people who are listening, just a brief background, approximately, let's take about 3-4 minutes on this, is where did you start and how did you get to where you are in what you're doing?
It's very interesting. Thanks, Rohit, for having me and this question. In fact, I also wondered, why did I think innovation 2 years ago, or it's going to be 2.5 years ago? Things just happened to me in terms of, I think all this happened when my father passed away. When he passed away in 2017, it just got to my mind that, what am I doing? Do I need to be doing what I just do in my life like this? Being a single dad and now just lost a husband, I decided to just resign after 4 months and head back to Penang from Kuala Lumpur. And that is that thing that just said, let's just do this. Let's just do something. And there's one thing that my friend always told me in 2006, Seelan, if something that you do right, go in front of people, talk to them, you change people's life. I want to do just that. I want to go in front of people, and one of my visions I have is to talk in front of 80,000 people. Right.
Oh, wow.
That's my ultimate vision I have. Right. That's one day. I hope that comes in. But why design thinking and innovation? So I just started with innovation and design thinking compared to, not communication, nothing to do with sales, nothing to do with leadership. It's very much into innovation. I just wanted people to start thinking out differently and coming up with problem solving stuff. And I started, my first program was design thinking in 2018. I got it out, started doing it. And I realized, Rohit, that why this has become the program that now I'm looked out for it. Seelan means design thinking. Seelan means innovation.
Hmm.
Is I realized in 12 years old, I started building my own toys when I was just 12. I started making my alarm system. I started making my own helicopter. I started making my own toys because I didn't want to be a burden to my mom and dad, just asking them to buy expensive toys for me. I just wanted to build them on my own. So I started dismantling stuff and making my own toys, and I was so happy about it. And now I know then in 2018 why I start going out and telling people to start imagining things and do. So I realized I did that exact same thing. And now that story I'm telling out there is, guys, you want to come up with something, just be brave to imagine it and start building it.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. So when I announced that I'm going to do this talk with you, Seelan, on what we've called this session is the secret sauce to progress and success. And it's focusing on design thinking. And when I made that comment to a couple of people, is that it's on design thinking. And the first comment I got back from people was, design thinking is just a fashion and fad, just people using it just for the hell of it. So what are your thoughts on that? And clarify what exactly is design thinking in the most simplest way so people can understand it.
This just happened about 2 months back. I just realized this, and I'm keeping going on sharing it on my LinkedIn and in my hashtags. Design thinking is human thinking. So I'm going to say that again. Design thinking is equal to human thinking. So if I want to just say it a little bit more elaborate, I would say in design thinking, be human thinking.
Okay.
Right? So if you want me to say a little bit more, what I mean by human thinking, where design thinking, human thinking is coming in, it's like, people may say design thinking, it's the thing, everybody's talking about it, maybe it's just too outdated, or it's still the in thing. People say don't do design, they start doing design sprints, right? Can we use that for our life? Is it rocket science? It is not. I think the fundamental that it just hit my skull at the end of the day was, I realized as I keep meeting people the last 2 years and talking every day in and out, even my son now says design thinking just like a new vocabulary in a dictionary. I realize that you can solve any problems because every problem comes from a human being. Chair doesn't have a problem with another chair. The chair has a problem with us. No, we have the problem with the chair. Then we change the chair. It's always we have a problem with something, right? So whether we have the problem with the phone, we change our phone. So anything you think about, it's actually the phone needs to be, the phone is designed, the chair is designed, the table is designed, the life is designed, everything is designed, but it's designed for who? For a human being. If you realize that, that's the fundamental that I realized, goodness, you're right. A cup with coffee is designed for a human being. Without the cup, you can't drink the coffee. It's also designed for a human being to sip the coffee. Now, the coffee is designed in the way with different aromas, different Robusta, Colombia, everybody's got different needs. And of course, every coffee drinker wants their coffee their own way. Hence, the coffee makers will make the coffee for the coffee drinkers. Again, they design that coffee, that aroma, using all that 5 senses to make the human satisfied. So I may like the coffee, may I not like this cup, but I may change this cup. So now I've got the coffee to suit my needs, and I've got the cup, the mug to suit my needs. Different color, just because Seelan has a problem and the coffee and the mug solves my problem because I want to drink my coffee my way in that particular cup. So what companies will need to do, or what anybody will need to do, is never solve a problem or never find a problem. Some people say, where do I find a problem? If you can't find a problem, create the problem. I said, don't create any problems. Find a user. because this world has 7.6 billion people with 7.6 billion problems to solve.
Okay. Interesting. So what I'm listening from this, what I'm hearing behind all of this is design thinking is not necessarily technology, IT based.
You're right. It's not.
It can be applied across everything in our life, in our existence.
It is.
Okay. So we're going to come back to this in a while. So again, to get back into this topic of design thinking, what does design thinking involve? You know, what would you say are the steps in design thinking?
So there are the fundamental of design is the 5 steps. I should say 5 steps, right? So I'm not going to change this because some will say 4 steps. You can merge 2 steps and say it's just 4 steps. But for the sake of learning, for those who are listening, I would skip to the 5 steps. If you want to know the 5 steps, I'm going to say it now, Rohit, and for the benefit of the team, right?
Okay.
First is, I said, if it's not about the problem, right? It's about the persona, right? I call it the 5 P's of design thinking, right? So I call it the creative design thinking, which is what I came up with the 5 steps of design. So I call it first the persona. The persona is the person or the user, or it's got to start with a human being. That persona will have a problem. So once you understand that persona to the level of just not to the level of empathy, right? It's the level of the profile, the demographics, the share of wallet, the interest, the frustration, the unmet needs, the alternate behavior, the goals of this person, what this person wants in his life. Then you can understand the problem of this, the fundamental problem that this person is having. Once you know the problem, you start to propose some ideas, some solutions, all right? Now, do we always come up with the best idea? There's no best ideas. Do we come up with crazy ideas? I would want crazy ideas. You know why, Rohit? Because people who are crazy are the ones who change the world. So come up with a bold, imaginative idea, because imaginative is the genesis of ideation. So come up with a persona, find a persona, understand the problem, propose solutions, and do not go and share it with them and launch it yet. Prototype.
Prototype, okay.
Prototype that solution, go get validation. The last one is either you pivot or you persevere. It's the same. It's called experimenting or testing. So I'll say again, it's persona, problem, propose, prototype, persevere.
Okay.
I put them both in one. Persevere means continuously you improve, or you in classic terms, continuous improvement. Pivot means radical change, but you want that's the journey, but you just change the direction to solve the problem. That's it.
Okay. So these 5 steps, is it something which you have created yourself, or is it something which people can find out in the different people who actually teach or implement design thinking?
Yeah, the fundamental of what I just shared, it's all over the world. It's everywhere in Google and all that. But the way I approach it was just build this. So this 5 P's is something that I created, number 1. Number 2, in each of the steps, I have formulas derived.
Yep.
Right? Very, very structured, simple formulas derived so that it gets you to your hypothesis. So it gets you to your hypothesis to just not start to think what a prototype is, but I say start building your prototype.
Okay.
So I always tell this: build to think and think to build. As much as you have an idea, do not just leave it as an idea. Start building your ideas, draw your ideas, take a paper, draw it out. Because when you start prototyping your ideas, so people think prototype means, as you say, design thinking is not a technology. First thing of design thinking is user desirability. If a user desires it, then you bring the technology. Because if a technology is just too high tech and the user is a senior citizen, that senior citizen may not have to go to the bank to do to do online banking because I just want to go and see the money and cash the money out because
Yeah.
I just don't trust digital transformation, right? I don't want it. I don't trust WhatsApp, these kind of things. So you need to understand for that user who desires, who has a problem, you can use different technologies. You can use IoT or what's or not. And then you see the market viability. Whether there's a market that senior citizens don't want to use online banking, but there's some other approach that you can take so that they can still do their banking at the end of the day. So always going back to the user approach, the human thinking part of it.
Okay. So when we're looking at this, some of the companies, what are some of the companies who use design thinking for innovation? This is like non-technology companies and technology-based companies. What are some of those companies which are out there and like, oh, never knew they were using design thinking? Who are those companies?
All right, so a lot. So I would say the big guys first. What's good? Amazon is using it. Google is using Facebook. Facebook is using it. Coca-Cola is using it. SAP, Toyota. I would say Intuit, 3M are using it. Steve is a classic story of design thinking, a failed product that eventually became a post-it, right? So, so what I'm trying to say is that these companies are using design thinking, and of course, design thinking it's just coined the last couple of years ago. It's become very, very out there. But companies have been using design thinking ever since the time of Henry Ford, right? Because I say that
before that.
Exactly, probably before that. I would say even Thomas Alva Edison was using design thinking because if you're not failing enough, you're not innovating enough, right? So this man failed 1,000 times to get the light that we all have today and that brightness we see in us today, right? But he just said, I know 1,000 things you should do to get the light bulb. So what I share in design thinking is just not merely the 5 steps, Rohit. I help people change the mindset of thinking that, guys, it is okay to be wrong because in design, wrong is right.
Okay. So
how do you know you're right?
Yeah, please continue.
So how do you know you're right if you're always wanting to be right, right? You have to be wrong, but you need to fail. But I have this hashtag that I share, fail. In organizations, so goodness, you got to fail. I can't fail, but I tell big organizations, even Fortune 50 companies, even Fortune 13, I actually did one with them. I just tell them, guys, fail, but fail fast, fail cheap.
Interesting.
And how do you do that is you need to build prototypes. So I get people to build prototypes. I call it low fidelity prototypes, not high fidelity. Just paper prototypes. It's $1 million idea sitting in front of you.
Okay. What I'm hearing from all of this is it's the involvement of your creativity and your innovation. Is that correct?
Yes.
So question arises when I'm thinking about this, in this period which we are in, whatever people want to call it, I would like to call it again, different times. We're in different times. And as we go on, many different times will come up. In a scenario which we're in currently, which most of the world are experiencing, and maybe something in the future might happen, they might experience something else as well. How could someone implement design thinking as a company?
Okay, so a few things. Number one is a design thinking is a mindset change, right? That is one of the hardest things for companies to do, Rohit. Right? One of the hardest things, right? So when I meet a lot of people out there, they say, Seelan, it's awesome. The way you talk about design thinking, it's so structured, it's easy to understand. And now we have $1 million idea. So I'll ask them, how much is your prototype? And they'll say, my prototype is just 5 ringgit Malaysia, but it's worth 5 million. I said, I'm not sure where you got the figure from, but I'm very happy to hear that, right? But they say this, Seelan, but how do I take this brand and implement it in my organization? So then I tell them this, every company needs this. Now, an employee, I've managed to change their mindset. But when he goes back to the organization, he's going to go back to the thing called BAU, business as usual. So when you go back to your BAU and you don't give them time to think, they are just doing the day in, day out, 9 to 5 job, and that's it. So when I was a professor, you asked me, Seelan, what is the biggest pain in organizations? He was a senior R&D director for a particular company. I was blessed to meet him, and he's a professor now in one of the universities. And when I met him, and he just said, Seelan, if there's one thing that organizations don't do, what is it? And I said, and I closed my eyes and I said, I'm sorry, professor, I'm closing my eyes just to just imagine, to have an image before I tell you something. And I said, organizations don't give their employees time to think.
Okay.
So that is one of the biggest reason why that innovation doesn't happen, because it's always BAU and it's always do the job and that's it. And if there's any innovation that takes place, it's called only incremental innovation. That means process improvements, small changes. So 70% of the time, what organizations tend to do is they do not design thinking, they just do continuous improvement to a particular problem. But what design thinking does is it designs thinking helps organization come up with breakthrough ideas or even radical ideas. And that means you're coming up with a new revenue stream in that particular organization. And so you don't stick in your core business. So now you ask me, Seelan, how would someone not stick in their core business? So if you have a hotel industry, which during this COVID pandemic, how airline industries are suffering and how hotel industries are suffering, and do they stick with their core business now? No, they need to think of something else today. What else I can do? Don't come up with a great idea or great innovation. Find out what the customer's problems are, and from there, use the 5 steps of design thinking, come up with a prototype, go and fail fast and fail cheap. And then if you think you have a business case, write that business model and go and pitch it, and then start it on from there. So the biggest flaw, right? Design thinking is just a mindset change. But what organizations really need, Rohit, they need an innovation framework so that employees, day in and day out, they've got time to think, they've got time to find a problem, they've got time to propose a solution, they've got time to prototype a new low fidelity prototype, they've got time to go and test that idea out, and they can come back and now potentially airline industries, any industries out there, even banking industries, have different ways of solving a human's problem innovatively, because you've just given them a framework now to start going and failing fast and failing cheap. Because you always think of doing it right, then it's always right. Just to stagnate our thinking, I have to always get it right. No, it is not about get it right the first time. If it's get it right the first time, then why are people still getting it wrong even the first time? So if it's wrong, is it wrong? No, it's not wrong. Wrong is the right thing to, that's what I say. You need to be wrong in order to get right. What needs to be wrong? Your idea can be wrong. Go and validate your idea with your prototype. Show your customers, show your users your prototype. You know why, Rohit? Because the best language in the world is not the language of text. It's not the language of idea. The best language in the world is a language of imagination and showing them a particular image. If I say, you know what, Rohit, I'm going to build a new vase, right? The vase looks like this. It's not like the vase that I saw in your house, but it looks like this. You're still not getting the picture. But all I just need to say, the vase actually looks just like this, right? But it's just going to be tilted down here. And now you see the vase, right? This is a low fidelity prototype that I just showed you. I'm getting validation from there. And from the validation, I can see that, well, Rohit, who is a user, he likes that vase. All I need to do now is go and find more Rohits out there in the world and show them this vase, and they will love indoor farming or something like that.
Okay. So going a bit more deeper into this, from a individual perspective, so you're speaking on a company's perspective, how could someone on an individual level like me or someone who might have lost their job implement design thinking into the way they actually live their day-to-day life?
Okay, so I'm going to share my experience as well when I didn't have a job previously back then. Back then, I didn't use design thinking. It was many years ago, right? So,
Yeah.
but interestingly, now I realize I tend to use design thinking unknowingly. We just didn't know we've been using it, right? So here's what people need to do. First of all, whose problem is that problem that we don't have a job? It is not his problem. It is my problem. Now, what is my problem? My problem is I'm X amount of years old. I've only got this much cash.
Yes.
I have got 2 kids. You got to go to the level of the demographic level of your own problem. Yeah. I've got to understand that I am a bachelor's degree holder in marketing. I've got that much cash flow, but in 6 months, I don't have any more money. Right. And I'm a very temperamental person. I'm an extrovert. I'm very pessimistic in life. That's Seelan's profile. Okay, I just made that up. Okay, right. And then what happens is I go to that interest. In that interest, I speak about what is my technological interest and one is my non-tech savvy interest. So I love fishing, right? I don't like to meet people. I like to be online. These kind of things, I go to that second level of it. Then I understand again about Seelan. What is my functional challenges that I'm facing right now? What is my emotional challenges I'm facing right now? What is my social challenges that I'm facing right now? So it's going very deep in terms of Seelan, the persona, right?
Yes.
Then I go into the next quadrant, and there's 6 quadrants in this. And I go to the next quadrant. The 4th quadrant is, what is Seelan's needs? No. What is Seelan's unmet needs? Needs that I don't even know that I need. It's just like, when Steve Jobs removed the keypad from the phones those days, right? And he came up with the iPhone, right? We didn't know that we don't need the keypad, but the man made it happen, right? And smartphones happened and apps took place. So coming back to this 4th quadrant, it's called unmet needs. What really you need that you don't even know you need? You need to have that thought. At least 3, you need to jot it down. Needs that are unmet, and I want them to be met in 6 months, in 5 months. I want those things. And then you go to the 5th quadrant. What is the Seelan's alternative behavior? What am I doing right now because I don't have a job? Am I looking for a job? Am I going online on a daily basis? Am I talking to people? Or am I just not doing anything about it? That you need to do. My alternative behavior, else I'm going to collapse. Because else, if someone doesn't have a job, they need to first understand what are they doing currently to solve their problem of not having a job. And then the 6th quadrant is, what is their goals in life? What he wants to achieve in his life. That means in 6 months, I have to get a job because I got 2 kids with me, something like that. Once they understand this, Rohit, right, to this level, right, you can find out problems to it. You can really understand the core problem from there. And then you come up with proposed different solutions out of it, all right? I use formulas to come up with it. I use different solutions, right? Whether I need to find for a job or whether I need to look at other ways, I need to go with a different network of friends. Because when you do that persona template, right, to that level, it makes you see what is it your problems are functionally, emotionally, and socially. And from there, either you stick and don't do anything about it, or you got to do something about it because you have a big problem. Now, do what? Do something. What is that something? Pick up the phone, make the call, start going for interviews, right? Start failing. If something doesn't happen, it's okay. So this is where you start prototyping. So you call it prototyping here because sometimes you need to be wrong. You cannot get it right. The CV may not work for you. You can't get the perfect CV. Start writing the CV. Get the CV going. Speak to some gurus out there. Google is there. Talk it. So this is where you're failing fast, failing cheap, getting it wrong, getting it right. And as Anthony Robbins says, until you get the job, keep looking for the job. If you haven't got the job, you haven't tried hard enough yet. So all this, right, Rohit, it is this, for me, that fundamental of it is design thinking. You're actually testing out your CV. You're testing out your first interview may fail. It's okay. Are you going to give up? No, it's fail fast, fail cheap. Go to the next interview. Pivot, and persevere. That's design thinking in life, Rohit. And that was what I used as well.
Interesting you said that, because I was just thinking about it. Have you written an article about this?
I'm actually going to write a book.
Because yeah, just at this moment, the way people are feeling, and also when people do forget about this time, there are times when people will be in this situation, they don't have a job. It's just having that source of information, how they can apply it, because it's a very structured way of looking at it, especially beginning from the part of when you're talking about, you know, writing down what your persona is, because that's the starting of everything. Yes, it's
Exactly.
very, very powerful. I think you need to talk to, I think career people people are looking for a role, they really need to come to you, and you could actually help them map out the whole journey.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've actually created that persona map. It's called Persona Development Canvas. So it is basically understanding yourself. If you have a problem, if you lost your job, for those with due respect, I know difficult moments wherever you are listening right now, it is hard. You need to first self-realize, self-awareness. But what do I self-aware of, Seelan? I've got so much of emotions happening. I've got a family to take care. I need money right now. But how do I do it? It's easy for you to say over Zoom. No, that's what people say, right? But yes, if you want, I can send you the template, right? Start putting those thoughts into a paper. It will come out more, because as you start writing, you start thinking. When you start thinking, you start seeing, and then, you get the solution. Guys, I've built 176 prototypes and it's still counting. I just built 2 last week, 4 last week. This is what I hear from people, and they said, Seelan, I never knew I could build a prototype. I never knew I could come up with an idea like this. And that's because if we start harping on the problem, Rohit, and not proposing ideas and taking action, ideas are merely ideas.
Which comes to my next question. See, ideas, you can be very creative, but those ideas, if they're not implemented, they just stay there in that creative area. In your opinion, what inspires or initiates one to innovate, one to go into that implementation phase, one to go into that prototype phase? Yeah, you may have that great idea, but it's nothing without doing some kind of movement. How does one inspire and initiate that innovation part of it?
Coming back to the first few minutes, I said, Rohit, if as a human being, if you see a problem that a human being has, is the right thing to do to solve the person's problem. So the first thing that we need to do is look at the man and have empathy. Understanding from their point of view that they have a problem. And imagine if you had the same problem as well, and you just wish someone is there to hold your hands, right? And that same problem has the problem, that mindset change, or if that first mindset change, if you want to help that person is there, I don't need to teach you design thinking. We are people that will survive. From civilizations to civilization, we will survive. So what I'm trying to get into is that mindset change there needs to happen, to look at a person as a human being and put yourself in that human being's shoe, and just have to, if there's no structure to it, you can use the structure that I said here. You can use design thinking to solve that man's problem. So the first thing you need to do is just understand that that man or that lady has a problem, you need to solve the problem. Be a human being to solve another human being's problem. That's why I say in design thinking, be human thinking. Think about that person as a human being. Go and understand the persona, find out the problem, propose some solutions, prototype them, let them go, and persevere or pivot.
Okay.
Because it's okay to be wrong.
So here's the thing: when we look at organizations as a whole, I mean, some organizations have been running for such a long time, and then suddenly you hear them collapsing out of the blue, whatever reason that could be. And design thinking and innovation it certainly feels, and what you're telling me sounds very viable and something which could help people move forward. Then why are not many companies either not practicing it or are not even aware of it? What's the reason behind that?
You got a very good question, Rohit. So here's what is missing. As I said, design thinking is a mindset change to help a person's problem. But what organizations are missing out, nearly 70% to 80% of organizations globally are missing out, is they do not have an innovation framework. Okay. Now, what is an innovation framework? Now, there's something I've designed, right? I've designed that. I call it the innovation I-10 framework. It's called the I-10 framework. There are 10 I's to it. The first I is you need an innovation portfolio owner, someone who owns the innovation portfolio in the organization. Or I would just don't know a better term, you need a chief innovation officer or a chief digital transformation officer, what's or not. It's something to do with innovation needs to be there. Like you have a chief happiness officer, you need to have a chief innovation officer. That's the first I. The second I is, what is the innovation strategy of this organization? Are we going to be looking at the core business? Are we going to go to a different business? Are we going to just look into how do we get customers coming to the hotel when nobody wants to come to the hotel? Do I need to transform this hotel to something else and get ready for the next? So this strategy needs to change. That means I'm trying to tell you, we need to be versatile in our strategy. It's called versatile vision. That means a vision has to be agile from today onwards. It cannot be the same because we do not know when the next pandemic will hit us or when the next digital pandemic will hit us. Because today, although we are connected digitally, all we need to is this virus and we can't even get Zoom going up next. So that's scary, right?
Okay, Seelan, so we're talking about the global pandemic and now you're talking about the digital pandemic.
Yeah, so that strategy is the next innovation strategy needs to change, right? I foresee things happening, Rohit.
You've just given some people some ideas now. Yeah. People are going to come back to this interview and say, Seelan predicted this. He is the great knower of everything.
All right. So the first I is innovation portfolio owner, innovation strategy. Then you need an innovation structure, right? What is the org chart to help the innovation portfolio owner in his strategy for innovation? Then you have an innovation process. You cannot do a BAU, a business as usual, and start to innovate. No, it will slow down innovation. You need a new fast-track innovation process that fails fast, fail cheap, helps people to innovate, have an innovation lab in your organization, follow that process, and then you have the fifth I, which is innovation culture starts to take place in an organization. It starts to mature in time. Year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. So the innovation portfolio owner has a strategy, which has an innovation structure, where it has an innovation process, very clear process, that you can come up with innovations on a daily basis. And then you have an innovation culture. HR gets there and starts to build a KPI, gets a reward system to have the culture. Then you have the 5 I's. The 5 I's are the employees of that organization. 50% is the strategy, 50% is the people, 50% of the leaders, 50% of the, so the 50% of the employees will now do what? The 5 I's: imagination, ideation, innovation, implementation, iteration. Together, you have I-10. That's the framework that is missing, Rohit. If that framework is there, so it's not the framework, right? It's the people behind the framework. Again, it's human thinking, right?
Yes.
One framework doesn't fit all. The framework is there, but it needs to just change based on culture to culture, country to country. But the fundamental I-10 framework can be applied in any countries, any organizations. It's just that the person sitting down there needs to have the right strategy and say, just go do it, guys. It's okay to fail. You're not going to fail if you fail. It's okay to fail. But start prototyping, go and validate them.
So this is from what you've gone through a framework, what I can understand it is for a company which has the resources or the people. What about a small, medium enterprise, you know, like a one-man band or 10 people? How do they do that?
Yeah. So here for small, medium businesses or medium businesses, right? Or a little bit even more smaller than that, some enterprises, right? 1 to 10 or 100 people.
Yeah.
First of all, you need some budget, right? If you don't have a budget, how do we do this? Which is why, let's say, for example, Seelan, they don't even have $1,000 to even do this, let alone 1,000 ringgit. How do you even do it, Seelan? I build prototypes that is only worth 5 ringgit, Rohit. What I'm trying to say here is you don't need to have an expensive budget for small, medium businesses like this to even come up with $1 million idea. All you need to do is have imagination and start building low fidelity prototypes, not high fidelity. What do I mean by low fidelity? This is a low fidelity prototype. A paper, just taking a pen and just drawing out your blueprint is an idea. Take that idea, go and validate with your core customers in your small, medium business. Because I'm sure a small, medium business has small customers, right? Maybe they're just spending, biggest customer could be 100,000 ringgit or maybe $50,000 small, but they have a problem. It's not the company's problem. Go and solve the user's problem who comes to this company for a solution, because that solution is your business. So go and understand your customers and fill up the persona development campus, understand the problem, find out the problems, find out the solution, and prototype an idea and go into it. So what I'm trying to say, Rohit, is you don't need $1 million budget for, like, big companies. Innovation is budgeted, right? When everybody was in the pandemic, the top 5 companies in the world, the Amazons and the Googles, they were going big in R&D. $200 billion US dollars was spent on R&D during the COVID pandemic. So what I'm trying to tell you is small companies don't have that budget, let alone 100,000 ringgit. So what I'm trying to say is that you don't need that much. All you need to do is just use a paper, use a pen, take a box, recyclable stuff, build prototypes, go and validate them with your user. Your user will be amazed by just a cup of coffee. Talk to them and say, this is what I have proposed for a new way of what solutions I'm going to do for you. Moving forward, because of this COVID pandemic, this is not the way I'm going to do it. This is how I'm going to do it. That's the new process. Are you okay with that process? Basically, what I'm trying to tell you, Rohit, is work with your customers to build a solution for them.
Okay. So here's the other thing. So let's say there's a company out there. Can you actually help them do this? How can you actually, as a professional, help them saying, hey, I know that you don't have the resources. I will do it for you. Is that possible for you to do it for someone?
Yes. Yes, it is. So I believe in one thing. The outcome is important. But what if Seelan leaves the company after 1 year? So I go there, I do it. If Seelan is not there, it must have a legacy running.
Absolutely.
So what I do is, I go into companies, whether it's MNCs, Fortune 500 companies, Fortune 50, I tell them the same thing. I'm going to help you guys. So I've got a structure built, Rohit. It's an 8 months program that I have, right? I go into organizations. I help people change the mindset, the 50%, and I also change and I build that framework for the organization. So I build the whole framework based on their core business. I have them understand that you can't be doing incremental innovation. You've got to do breakthrough radical innovations, because that's the new world. That's the new brave world. Then I help the people, once the framework is very, very clear, and they can have a innovation committee, we can do all that stuff. So I help them craft that thing out. That 5 I's, I help them craft it out. And I teach the people to start using that framework, which I just built for them. And that then becomes moving forward. That's called innovation maturity. So I actually also help companies year 1, year 2, year 3 to help them. First year, stick with them. Second year, stick there with them. Third year, they start governing themselves. I start watching them, and then they start running it themselves. So that's where Seelan goes in. That's the job. Build a framework for them. See them doing it. They have their own mentors happening. Then I slowly move on and say, good job, guys. All the best to you guys.
Okay. Now, in regards to, see, when I'm listening to you, one of the things which keeps on coming into my mind is growth hacking for some reason. So is design thinking the same as growth hacking?
Can you share with me, because I heard this growth hacking, can you just tell me a little bit of growth hacking so I can see the right thing in terms of design thinking versus growth hacking?
Okay, so growth hacking is basically looking at finding. So let's say one of my associates, he's really into growth hacking, and the simple way I can understand growth hacking is finding something in your process where you can tweak it, and instead of spending X amount of, if you're spending 10, let's say you're spending 10 minutes, suddenly you've reduced it to 5 minutes, but your output is greater. Yeah.
Got it.
So literally, in simple words, that's what it is. So I was spending previously 10 minutes, and my output from this process was, let's say, 20 cups. Okay. But now what I've done is tweaked it where my input is literally only 5 minutes, and I am now suddenly producing 60 cups.
Absolutely. And that's what design thinking does. So how do you come up with 1 cup to 60 cups is because in design thinking, you go and validate. As much as you start validating, and once it's clear that now the 1 cup, the customer wants 60 cups in just that 5 minutes, that's because you would have already prototyped a new way of doing something. You're going to validate it. And now the customer is, you know what? You took 10 minutes for 1 cup. Now it's 5 minutes, 60 cups. I like that solution. And now what happens is, Rohit, you start to go out to the masses and say, this is the new process in town now. With 5 minutes, 60 cups is out. Now you have the same customers doing the same thing, but in 5 minutes, 60 cups. So it's designed, basically the job before you come to the 60 cups is design thinking. The 60 cups is a success story because you did a good design thinking. Because why? You are human thinking. Because someone buys the 60 cups.
So why not just call this human thinking?
Exactly. And that is my next plan, Rohit. Coming soon, I'll let you know.
Is this a book or what is it, the next plan?
Yeah, I'm actually thinking of that. I'm actually thinking of writing, and that human thinking element is where I'm trying to let people know, because at the end of the day, who reads your books? Human beings, right? So yeah, so that's a fundamental. That's like a nirvana hit for me in my head. It's like, that's my mantra now. At the end of the day, be human thinking. So in design thinking is all about that, right? As long as you look at a human being as a fellow human being, and then you have a solution. So what about animals, you may ask me? So Seelan, what about animals? There's so much in the human thinking. What about them? Exactly. But who looks at an animal and talk about an animal? Human beings, right? So we start killing animals. That's not the right thing to do. So there's a problem. So human beings save other animals, right? So we have pet dogs, we have pet cats. It's always, we want something out of it. So it's always a human problem. I want more dogs. I want cats and dogs. It's not that the cats want us, but we want them. So it's always, it's us has a problem. So it's always about us. If I want a plant, it's not a plant's problem. I want to grow plants. So I have a plant and I fertilize it. I take care of it, right? It's always human beings. So, Rohit, as I say so much about human beings, we are such a powerful element of this world. We can either make it happen, Rohit, or we can just crush it all off.
Absolutely right. Yes.
There was this NASA video that I watched many years ago. There was this Italian astronaut on far in space many years ago, and the CNN was live with him, and the camera was right in front of him, and behind him was Earth, and the CNN newscaster said, how do you see Earth from space? And all he said was, Earth is very small. That's the only place we have. And Rohit, that video or that video I saw in CNN 8-9 years ago, it's still in my mind that we humans, we really need to take care of what we have and be appreciative and be blessed with what we really have in this world. And this whole design thinking, it's not rocket science. It's just, let's be humble, another H, and be human, and just help people. If we start helping people, it is not about a ROI. It's not about return on investment. It is about return on intention. If our intention is right to help a human being, design thinking is merely a framework. It's just merely a framework that just helps you to be a human being, to solve another human being's problem. Then you can have your business coming up. That's all you see. Everything is a solution, because everybody has a problem to solve. You can solve it innovatively. There's investment, return on investment. But the first mantra is your intention needs to solve a human being's problem.
Okay, so we're going to start closing the interview for today. Another question, which is, there is this whole thing about AI, artificial intelligence, and everyone nowadays says they are doing artificial intelligence. What is your take on artificial intelligence, AI, and how does it relate to design thinking?
My master's was about AI back in 2002. I graduated in 2007. Back then, when I was doing my AI in computer science, I was doing a lot of research. And this question I asked, will AI ever be more intelligent than human thinking? Back in 1950, Alan Turing said, the day that AI, when you're talking to another computer out there, and you thought that you're talking to a fellow human being, not realizing you're actually talking to a computer, that's the day that computer intelligence is as intelligent as human being. That was in 1950. That's very interesting. You don't even know you're talking to him. Now, for your question, AI or HI? Artificial intelligence or human intelligence? Now you know, right? Right? I would say, Rohit, right? I had a talk in January, so this is what I say. We need human intelligence. With AI, we can make this world a better place. That's what I'm trying to say. Together, we can make this world a better place, right? There's no such thing as who's going to be what. At the end of the day, humans are going to be there. Emotions are going to be there, right? All I'm saying there is, as much as AI is becoming more artificially intelligent, human beings needs to learn to just be more human. That's it.
Okay.
Right? That's all I'm trying to say. But AI is merely a technology, So if you look at Industrial Revolution 4.0, there are 9 pillars. AI is just one of the pillars, right? We have IoT, we have big data, we have adaptive learning, machine learning. But all those 9 pillars, Rohit, is merely technology. At the end, who uses technology? Human beings uses it, right? So if a human doesn't desire AI, then AI will never grow. But if a human being desires, you can use AI to solve a human being's problem. They need to work together. So AI mustn't be like an AI. It should be part of that ecosystem to solve a human being's problem. Then there's value. There's a value there. There's an ecosystem. There's harmony. There's harmony in that. Now, it's just awesome. So AI becomes an element to solve a particular problem. So it's merely a technology for me. Right? It's all technology to solve a human being's problem. Else AI has got no use.
So there's no gloom and doom or a Terminator scenario in your mind about AI.
No. No.
Thank God for that.
No. That's a 1 hour topic on its own. I'm not going to get there.
Now, before we leave, for the people who are listening, for the people who are watching this, how can they contact Seelan for design thinking innovation? How can they actually approach you? Where do they need to do email links? What is it?
All right. So, hey guys, for those who are listening, the best thing that you could do is just to Google my name, as in, can they see my name in the Zoom? That's Seelan V Karthi. Rohit, that's what they see, right?
I trust, but what we can do is...
this is what they need to do. Just LinkedIn this name or just Google this name.
So let me read it out for people. Yeah. So
I'm using prototypes here.
So I will spell it out for you. It is, and correct me if I'm wrong, it is Seelan, Seelan, space capital V dot Karthik, Karthi. So they can do that in Google.
Yeah, you once you go to Google, it'll take you right to my LinkedIn, and all my articles, testimonies, write-ups, everything about design thinking innovation is all there, guys. Just say hi to me, LinkedIn me, and then we can take it on from email or what's not.
Excellent, excellent. Any last thoughts before we close for today? Any last things you would like to say, last wisdom you could tell the people out there?
I would say two things. Number one is design thinking is not rocket science. Ladies and gentlemen, design thinking is just being human thinking. We all are human beings. Every human being has a problem. Just be a human being, see the problems and solve it. And basically, we are all using designing on a day-to-day basis. We are designing our life, the design of our communication, everything is design, right? It's not rocket science. It's just a science of communication, a science to just help fellow humans problem. If there's something that you want to innovate, do not come up with great ideas. Come up with great imagination. Be bold, be imaginative, because people who are imaginative are the ones who change this world. Change the world for good, because all you need to do is, you know how this world is a better world? Just making someone else feel good. If the someone else feel better, the harmony is there, everybody feels good. So guys, imagination is a genesis to any great ideas. Be bold, be brave, be brilliant to start imagining the craziest ideas, and start taking a paper and pen and drawing out your ideas, guys. With that, Rohit, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Rohit.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for listening. Thank you for being on Raw Live. See you in the next interview, which is coming up soon. Bye for now.
Thanks again, Rohit. Cheers, Bhaiya.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.